In this video, I'm going to show you an example of tightly coupled code. So let's add a new class to this project. We're going to call this tax calculator. Now, what pieces of data do we need to store in this class? At a minimum, we need to know the taxable income. So let's declare a private field called taxable income. Now, we could have 10 other fields, but it doesn't really matter. This field is sufficient. Now, let's say we want to initialize this in the constructor. So here we can generate a constructor and initialize this field. Beautiful. Now, what methods do we need here? At a minimum, we need one method for calculating the tax. So public double calculate tax. Now, in this method, we simply return taxable income times 0.3. So 30% tax. Now let's create another class like tax report that uses our tax calculator. So over here, I'm going to add a new class called tax report. Now, what state and behavior do we need in this class? Well, here we need to work with our tax calculator so we can store it in a private field. We also need a method for showing the tax report. So I'm going to declare a private field of type tax calculator and call it calculator. Now let's declare a constructor. So public tax report. And in this constructor, we're going to initialize this field. So calculator equals new tax calculator. And here we pass our taxable income. Let's say $100,000. Great. Now we need a method for showing the tax report. In this method, we're going to use our calculator to calculate the tax and then print it on the console. So var tax equals calculator dot calculate tax. And then we do a print line to print this on the console. This is an example of tightly coupled code. Why? Because in this class, in this report class, we are using our tax calculator. So we are dependent on this class. If our calculator changes, our report class might be affected. Here are a few examples. Look at the constructor. Currently, our constructor has only a single parameter. But if we go back to our tax calculator and add a new parameter here, like double insurance, now our report class is broken. We need to come back here and pass an argument to this constructor. Now, this is not a big deal in a small application, but what if we had 10 classes that were dependent on the tax calculator? Just by introducing a new parameter, we'll have to go back and modify all those classes. Here's another example. We're calling the calculate tax method. If we add or remove a parameter, again, our report class is going to break. Now, here's the thing. Even if we don't change the signature of this method or our constructor, our tax report is still tightly coupled to our calculator. Here's an example. I'm going to go back to the calculator class and remove this new parameter. So we're not going to make any changes to the signature of the constructor or this method. All we want to do is to change how we calculate the tax. So we modified the code in this class. That means this class and all its dependencies have to be recompiled and redeployed. This is the problem with tight coupling. Over the next few videos, I'm going to show you how to use interfaces to decouple our tax report from our tax calculator.